week's Texas Roadhouse press conference. Kind of a slow week at home this week. Men's and women's basketball are on the road. Both games this weekend. They go to Stephenville on Thursday for games Thursday night at Tarleton State. And then they are in Commerce Saturday afternoon for games against Texas A&M Commerce. Our only home event this week is men's and women's swimming and diving. They will be taking on Southwestern Saturday at 11 a.m. at Com Aquatics in Midland. And that will be their lone home meet this year and their final matchup against somebody before they go to conference next month. All right, we'll start out today with head men's basketball coach Josh Miller.
Ready?
I'm good when you guys are.
Yep.
Okay. Well, obviously we're struggling a little bit right now. It seems like we're having a hard time putting two halves together. You know, the last two games have been disappointing. First half actually pretty good on both ends. And then the second half, defensively, we just find a lot of lapses. And it seems like right now, we're having a hard time getting really key stops, especially in the second half. And unfortunately for us, you know, a few of the things that we've been doing all year round are really starting to surface, and that's, you know, not take care of the basketball. We're having too many turnovers, particularly in crunch time situations. And then we're not rebounding the ball very well defensively. And those have been things that we've kind of masked, honestly, up until this point. And we've gotten away with, but you know, now that we're in league play, we've told the guys that every possession counts, and you have to value every possession more now than ever, because even though, you know, we're losing these games, there are really one or two possessions that will dictate the outcome. And I would tell you this: most teams in any sport go through peaks and valleys. The good teams limit the valleys, but every team's going to go through a situation where they have to kind of look in the mirror, they have to assess the situation. And they got to figure out if they're just going to accept it and roll with it, or if they're going to make changes. And our team right now is at that point where we're going to start making some changes to try to get out of this situation that we're currently in. Now, does that immediately say you're going to win games? Not necessarily, especially going on the road and playing two good teams. But we just want to see if we're going to continue to get better. And that's what we're trying to do right now, is get better. And it's going to start today. It started with a long film session. It's going to start with practice, some more film. And we just have to kind of look in the mirror as a group and figure out what we need to do better.
And as far as changes, does that mean messing with the starting lineup or minutes that players are getting?
You know, right now we're kind of limited depth-wise. We're a little banged up right now, so I don't really think that's a change in terms of starting lineup. I think it's more of a change of mentality. It's a change of believing in each other. It's a change in making the extra pass versus the one thing that you might think you're open, but somebody else might be even, you know, better open. We talk about good to great, and we watch a lot of film today about don't take a good shot, let's try to find the great shot. And then accountability. So yes, obviously if those guys don't do what they're supposed to do, then it does affect playing time, but I think more right now it's about kind of digging down deep and just being more accountable and honestly helping out the guy next to you and playing for the guy next to you, not just necessarily the guy that's looking back at you.
Speaking of banged up, what's Walton's situation right now? Definitely notice he wasn't out there.
Yeah, so he's got a back injury right now. It's kind of day to day. You know, after our game versus Cameron, he was kind of uncomfortable, had a hard bus ride home, and it's just kind of been lingering. So we're going to get him in to see somebody today. We hope that he can go this weekend, but it's kind of up in the air.
And also, one of the things that you mentioned in your opening statement is kind of like how you're trying to like figure out and make some changes and not do what you're doing. Do you think right now that this is a result of maybe you're starting to play a little bit more athletic teams and a little bit more talented teams at this point in the season, and you guys are still doing the exact same thing? Or
I think it's things that we've kind of masked that are catching up to us. The league is really good. I think the one thing that we're getting exposed to right now is toughness, truthfully. We are long. We're actually athletic, but we're not the toughest team, and that's starting to show. And so when I talk about toughness, you've got to get tough stops. You've got to make a tough play. You've got to get a 50-50 ball. And so those just things are just tough. I mean, diving on the floor. Those are the tough plays that right now we're just not making. So I would tell you that that's kind of where our chink in the armor is we're just not tough enough right now. And I think that's kind of a correlation of coming together so fast, the trust, the building. I mean, again, you know, these are 12 guys that we're asking to come together, play together, build a relationship, all super fast. And I think we got away with some of that early with the competition, but now we need them to depend on each other more now than ever.
as a coach, how do you teach toughness?
It's tough because a lot of that's innate. You know, we try to put them in a situation, maybe create an adverse situation in practice. You can always do toughness drills, but my fear with toughness drills is you can get hurt, and then that's not very smart. And so you have to balance toughness, smart, getting your point across, and it's a fine line, truthfully. But I think if you try to put them in a situation, maybe you're already down 5 or 2 minutes to go, see how they rally or be up with this, and just kind of create situations more than just bang your heads together. Because if you start doing that and a guy twists his ankle or breaks a finger, now you've really hurt the team.
What was the morale like in the locker room after the game on Saturday?
Not good, but that's actually a good thing. I think finally they're really upset. You know, when you get beat by West Texas, you look at them, oh, we should have had that one, and you can kind of overlook it. And then Angelo, you give Angelo a lot of credit. They made 3 straight plays in the stretch to win the game. Well, versus Kingsville, they made a lot of plays, and so now it's like, okay, enough. It's not just 1 or 2 isolated situations. It's we have to fix this. So that's a good thing. I'm hoping that we're hit the bottom, because once you hit the bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. We'll find out. But I will tell you this, I don't know if you'll see an immediate impact with what we're about to go to on the road. You know, Tarleton and Commerce, 2 top 25 teams. Commerce is arguably one of the best teams in the league. So our success or our growth might not show right away, but I just want to see that as a coach, that we are starting to be tougher, we are starting to come together, and morale is starting to pick up. But it's going to be tough going on the road.
Going back to that trust thing, have you seen improvement throughout the team over the season?
Honestly, no, not yet. I mean, that's 12. It's like a new recipe. We put all these things in together, and we got to figure out what's the right one, what's the not one, who's going to believe in the other guy. One of the things we have right now is who's willing to do it first. Who's willing to take the sacrifice and say this is the right thing, because then it's contagious. But until then, you're going to kind of be spinning your wheels, and so that trust is going to it's going to probably blink, and then once it blinks, it's going to catch fire, and hopefully it'll be take form to our team, but not yet, and we're waiting on that. And we address that today, and hopefully we can get to that point where we do have a lot more trust.
So going off that, who's going to be the guy to step up kind of thing? A lot of times when you read books or watch documentaries of old coaches, they always talk about there's a moment in this point where I sat down with so and so, or I was waiting for so and so, whether it be Pippen, Kobe, whoever it was. We need you to get us back on track. Do you have a favorite who you think is going to be the one to step up, or you need to?
I don't know yet. I mean, it's not about a favor. It's not about who it's about who's going to do it. And you're right. We can have meetings, and we're doing that. It's one of those things where somebody has to basically say, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to be that one. And I'll tell you guys, it's the hardest person to be is the leader, because the leader is not liked. The leader is the one that challenges people to do things that are uncomfortable. The leader is the one that's willing to step on somebody's toes to do the right thing. And we're just waiting right now, or we're trying to. And if nobody will do it, then it's our staff that's going to do it. Somebody, we will have a leader. You'd like it to be your players, but if not, it's going to have to be our staff. And we will find that point where we get to that point and move forward.
Do you think that, and it kind of piggybacks off Marshall's question a little, but a guy maybe trying to step up to be a leader in the last maybe 10 minutes of a game, because y'all have been right there trailing the last couple of games, do you think that maybe that's why there's a lack of passing, that they're thinking, by being a leader, I need to go to the basket and score?
No question. Being a leader is not being a scorer. Being a leader is the guy that's going to rally the troops to get the stops. And it's not about offense right now. I mean, in the first half, we hold Kingsville to 28%, 22 points. But in the second half, the floodgates open and they score almost every possession. So it's not about baskets. And sometimes you're right. When that trust is trying to form, guys are like, I'm going to hit the home run play. Well, in basketball, there's really not a home run play. You need to make each play the right play. And that's what we talked about today. But you're right. I think right now, they think being a leader is scoring baskets. And that actually is going to backfire, because now you're taking bad shots, and now your teammates trust you less and less because you just made a bad play.
So looking at this weekend, I know we've talked a lot about what you need to improve, but specifically for these games, how do you get a win?
So there's 3 things, okay? We have to take care of the ball better. We can't turn the ball over. We cannot allow teams to get out and score transition baskets off of our turnovers. So we've got to limit our live turnovers, which shot selection is tied to that. The other thing is we have to figure out how to get defensive stops. Plain and simple. We have to figure that out. And then the third thing is, to get a stop, you have to finish with a rebound. So we have to defensive rebound, get stops, and not turn the ball over. Those are 3 things that we're going to do today. Kind of an interesting, unique way we're going to do that today is we basically have the ball rack, and there's only 12 balls on it. Well, after the 12th turnover, we are out of basketballs for the rest of the practice. So they know that. Today you have 12 opportunities, and that's it. We're going to value each one of these balls, and when you make a mistake, it's going in the rafters. And if we have an hour left to practice and we don't have a basketball, then we're just simply going to run, because we don't value the ball. So we're doing things like that, and we're gonna create a little bit of toughness and animosity, and see kind of how our guys react to that.
What are these two matchups looking like specifically this week? Tarleton State and Commerce.
Well, I wish I could tell you I would really dive into those, but I'm really worried about my team right now, and so we're really focused on those things. I can tell you that they're both big, strong, tough, and physical, which is kind of what we struggled with a little bit. Commerce is an extremely talented team. They're super deep. They're now, I guess they're preseason second, but I mean, I would tell you right now, I think they're probably the best team in the league. Even though they got beat at West Texas, on paper right now they're very good. Tarleton is long and athletic. They're going to play a zone, which we actually haven't seen in a lot, so that'll be different for us. But I'm really worried and more concerned about us right now and what we need to do to take the right steps and fix us, and then worry about them next.
Cool.
What do you guys think?
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, next up is head women's basketball coach Ray Booth.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right, Coach, just I guess plain and simple, what was your assessment of the last week?
More of the same, sadly. In both of them. Angelo was very tough. Pleased with a lot of moments in that game, but still a game where there were moments if we would have capitalized on, we could have been in a better situation down the stretch. But for the competition with Angelo, that's one we're going to look at and say, you know, we got better for 40 minutes. We prepared really well for them. Sadly, Kingsville is one that is like 4 or 5 other conference games for us. We're in it to the end, and we couldn't capitalize on big plays. And they made them, and we didn't get stops. A couple bad decisions in the last minute that really kind of changed the opportunity to win. So we just have to get over this hump. But we've been in 5 games that could have gone either way. So we're hoping experience the first round will help us the second round. But we need to get a win this week, that's for sure.
What's the locker room like for the women right now? What's the emotions going on?
I mean, more of the same. I mean, they're not happy. They're frustrated that we continue to kind of repeat ourselves every game. And every week it's a huge step back. So we need some encouragement this week in the form of a win. But they're fighters. They'll keep battling until it's over.
What have you guys been doing at practice to help the fourth quarter hump you guys need to get over?
Well, really prepare. You know, I think that's an area that we have become better at in terms of preparation for our opponent, what we're trying to do, and making sure we're on the same page game plan wise. But obviously, we are struggling to make shots still. And early, it was to find open shots. And now it's to knock down the open shots. And I think a lot of that has to do with confidence. You know, we've got, in my opinion, we have the right people taking the shots. We're just not making them. So we really need those individual players to be the players that they're capable of being right now. And I think it's just them wanting it too much, like praying it goes in, and not wanting to take that shot. And so we're going to work on that this week in practice, definitely, but continue to prepare well. Because this week is a tough week. I mean, we have Tarleton, who just beat West Texas, who's very, very talented. And then Commerce, who's the most athletic team in the league by far. So it's going to be a challenging week. And so we hope to split, and then we get to start round 2 next week. And we do hope experience helps us when we go to Western Mexico.
So going off what you said about knocking down the shots, like I couldn't agree more at how when you're seeing it, it's like they're open now, they're just not falling.
Right.
So if it's not a technical thing, it's not about form, how do you get that confidence going until the shots are falling?
Well, they're going to get a lot of reps the next 72 hours, that's for sure. So hopefully that takes advantage, but also reps game speed shots. You know, I think they're doing a lot of shooting on their own, but it's not of the level of speed that they're taking them in a game or rushing them in a game. So we're going to try to make sure that all their shots they take are game speed, and that we take enough to where that confidence grows with repetition. And then hopefully we capitalize that in moments and make sure our shots are even more open, hopefully. But Tarleton and Commerce, they're not gonna give you much space, so we've gotta make sure we're ready to knock them down.
Do you have a specific field goal percentage that you think is the goal right now for the team?
I think it's more individual field goal percentage. You know, we have a few people we rely on to knock down shots, and they're shooting very poorly. So I think challenging those few individuals, and that'll certainly bring our team percentage up. But if they can't get there, then we need to change our game plan and make sure we find other people that are ready to knock down open shots, because I think defensively we're doing a pretty good job of getting stops when we need to, and then we have mental errors when we give up. When we score, then they immediately respond with a big run, and it's like, what just happened, you know? So the mental part of our team and making sure we are locked in every second for 40 minutes. I mean, if we would have been able to get back 2 to 4 possessions every game on either end of the court, we could have changed the outcome of all but 2 or 3 of those games. So that's going to be the challenge, just as Coach Newman said, toughness, the ability to lock in and value each possession, value the ball on both ends of the court.
So you mentioned toughness and the physicality of Tarleton and Commerce coming up, specifically knocking down shots, toughness, but what do you guys need to do on the court to come away with a couple W's this weekend?
Well, Tarleton they're going to run what they run, and they do it really well. They're not going to change who they are. I mean, they're starting 5. They don't have much depth. They're very solid, their starting 5. They scored all but 6 points in their win over West Texas. So a huge part of our game plan is going to be making sure we know what those 5 people are very, very good at. And whatever defense we're running, because we're mixing it up now from zones and traps to man to doing a lot of different things just to try to keep teams off balance. And I hope that game plan will work well for not allowing Tarleton to do what they do really well, because they are extremely efficient. That would be the defensive end. Offensive end, we need to be a little bit more attack-minded. I feel like we're passing up opportunities to run things, and I want our players to have a lot of freedom to make plays in transition, in the open court. But rebounding for us has been a struggle, and we need to win that battle against teams that are physical like Tarleton and teams that are very athletic like Commerce. If we can handle that area, clean up some things on the defensive end in terms of preparation, who the big shooters are, who can't get a touch in the low post, and then handle Commerce ability to run and score in the open court, I'd say better than anyone in this league right now, above Angelo, and we struggled with their points in transition in the first half. But you know, just really focusing on 2-3 areas of what the other team does well, that we're going to make sure they don't do, and then improve the areas that we've struggled with knocking down open shots and maybe making an extra pass here and there, and ability to go get more rebounds. I don't know, and I can count on one hand the exact number of threes we've made in the last week in a game. That needs to be a huge improvement for us to be in any basketball game. We've got to be able to knock down shots outside, and last week was very poor.
How do you feel, Coach?
I mean, we've got to keep going. We've got 12 left. You know, we need a split every week, and there needs to be a couple weeks where we get them both. I do think experience is going to be huge going in the second round. You know, they know what games got away. And so I think once we get one, we'll be okay. We just need to get it done.
Cool.
I'm good for you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck this week.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I see you guys everywhere.